Hello, I am Adalberto Cervantes Rodriguez. As you know, I am the creator of the ERP technology and the business database technology that was stolen by SAP and Oracle, among others, around the world. We're going to talk today about the lawsuit that, that I have against SAP, against the Oracle, the partners, and several clients, important clients of them, because of the bad use of the technology and because this is some criminal activities that are done worldwide, and that's why I presented this year a criminal suit directly to in Mexico and also in United States, and I try to have a legal participation from India and from Colombia, and as well as other countries that wish to help me. Right now, my criminal suit in the PGR in Mexico is blocked by general attorney, the general attorney. Then it is a Jew Christian Illuminati. So this is happening to me, and and I need to disblock this criminal suit against these companies. I think that it will be possible with Donald Trump as a president, because as a matter of fact, also I have been blocked by Obama and and the Clintons. I mean, okay. Um, I will start saying that than I have said before. I have more than 25 years working as a consultant, okay, and basically I have been working in finance and IT with using ERP technology already, and the business database. I used to start working at the Mexican Petroleum Institute, as you know, and I was working really with huge systems. Okay, we have legal systems there. So I will start saying that I'm going to start explaining the situations with with my latest project. So you can figure out what is happening in the market. My criminal suit as well involved Tech Mahindra, Praxis, and as well Softtech because basically they are breaking international laws about labor laws. So for example, I was hired in Mexico with uh, we had not even signing. I didn't sign a U.S. agreement, and they sent me because I didn't sign it because the Mexican laws are different. Okay, so I didn't want to sign it, and I think because of that, and because I found out that they were not working with the pedimento in FMC technologies. I mean, we were involved in this labor suit. La Procuraduría de Protección del Trabajo del DF, and also right now they have all the file, but I don't know what they are not doing anything. So it seems that this Illuminati continue blocking me in certain way. Okay. And before that, I used to work in a project with the T-Mobile related with the assets. They hired a consultant coming from Asia to resolve this situation, and they had one internal specialist, but both of them they didn't have any idea of how to deal with all the complexity of the assets that involves practically all the mobile business. The main business of T-Mobile is the assets related with the mobiles. Okay, so I think that even working for SAP America, I can find out that they have a lot of situations. There were two or three of these five big accounting firms working for them, and they were not defining clearly what they really want to do with the system. I mean, they think that the ERP is going to resolve everything, but in the functional part they don't have an idea of how is working the ERP technology, and as well the functional part. I mean, the business part, in the part of taxes, in the part of the accounting, etc. It is difficult than all these groups working together. What I find out as well is that they are changing a lot of the tables and the fields in SAP. So this is crazy because that means that even they can lose the licenses of SAP because of this kind of changes. So the SAP is not going to give support for an ERP. Then they already changed it in the according with the standard configuration that they have. So that's really crazy. Okay, in the case of Tech Mahindra, what I can find out is that they say that they are working worldwide in the oil industry, but as a matter of fact, they don't even have an office in Mexico City. So they are using a virtual office, and their solutions are basically what the client said. So they are not using the ERP correctly. They didn't want to implement a specific specification like the pedimento, like the electronic invoice, like even the electronic accounting. Right now, then you have to get to the SAT in Mexico. That is the entity that is handling the taxes. So if we continue, we have the case of Hans Brandt that is using Lawson and SAP at the same time. So this is really incredible because they're using Lawson like high period, okay? Then is also a deal party software. So everything should be done in the ERP system, and I don't know at this time why this Jew Christian Illuminati infiltrating the corporates and government are defining this. I mean, all this inconvenience for even some shareholders or even the owners of the company. I mean, it's people that I think that they are working with these Babylonic secret knowledges, and what they only want is to steal money of the company, steal money of our taxes, and so on. In the case of Tadano Group, well, I have to go to Germany, working with the Japanese as well. So they have a template, and basically it was for Tadano in Houston. Okay, but I mean, in Japan they define it to use more than 2,000 accounts for a small, really for a small company in United States, even though they sell a lot of millions in some cases, but the situation is then these 2,000 GL accounts were a lot. So they are forcing the accountant and the controller to use these 2,000 accounts when I define only 200. Okay, like the basic necessities for this kind of company. So those decisions really affect the ERP, and if we continue doing the configuration in finance and controlling, and after the integration with the other modules, it doesn't work properly. Okay, so it's in the case of Sanden International, basically there were several processes then the Japanese, they don't want to do it in the way that they were working in the States, according with KPMG. And as well, I find out that they say that they were not managing any tax process. So can you imagine? So they have a lot of import and export from Mexico to United States, but as well with other countries. So there was no any configuration to be made in the tax part. So it was like, I cannot believe it. Okay. Um, there are some Indian companies that, as I said before, these Indian companies, they don't have, or most of the SAP and Oracle partners, they don't have an ISO certification that allow them to move to other countries to offer services according with the worldwide standard procedures of ISO. So one of these companies, they are even are in the World Bank, in the Inter-American Bank, and they are offering these services to Latin America. So I have found out that they don't even speak Spanish. They don't understand, of course, the processes in each country, because they are using a universal standardized software that is the SAP, and they don't care about the specific configuration that is needed. And if you talk with them at the end of the day to make these changes, they said, okay, it's going to cost more. Okay, so they don't explain to the client that they really need some changes in their system, but they don't know. Okay, so it's something that it has to be given with people that really understand the business, doing a workshop or a diagnostic or analysis, and define those necessities. But they are not doing it. Only they are offering the service of standardized software, and for the World Bank and the Inter-American Bank. So I mean, it's unethical. Also. Also, for example, in other company in Belden, I found out, for example, that the Indian company was in fact giving all the support, all the implementation, but in the case of Latin American countries, they don't define clearly what they are doing, and at the end of the day, the gap is so big than mainly the manufacturer company located there, it's useless. Okay. As well, in the process, I identified that these gun stalkers that are working internally in these companies, what they try to do is, in some cases, that these companies go to bankruptcy, and after move it to China. Okay, and the help of the Indians, I think that they have expertise in China, and moving these companies that are coming from Mexico, they bankrupt these companies using the gun stalkers in Mexico or in other Latin American countries, and after they move it to China. Okay, so it's like a waste of time even for Mexico and United States. Okay, in the case, for example, of Grupo Modelo, I find out than selling these companies in Mexico for Constellation, they were using a Colombian consultant. Okay, so someone who speaks Spanish, but she didn't understand the Mexican business. So there were a lot of missing parts, and they were doing the budget, and after the implementation of SAP, etc. But really, they didn't understand really the situation in Mexico, the use of maquiladora, for example, the use of NAFTA. Okay, and basically it will be better to use a local consultant, plus maybe someone who speaks Spanish, with a good idea of Mexican business, U.S. Mexican business, and and the result may be better of what they obtaining, because I mean, there are a lot of missing parts in the business part. Okay. Also, I went to Alstom Grid. This company seems to be one of the dream companies, and basically this company targeted me, and basically it was like I mean, they were targeting me in the States, in Ohio, Canton, Ohio, and also in Philadelphia. And, and even they used the Black Panthers to follow me to San Antonio, Texas, driving. So can you imagine? So even the companies are involved in targeting important business person like me, in this case of the ERP technology. Okay. I was working with Federal Mogul. These guys, they were working in the maquiladora industry in Juarez, Mexico, and also in the States at the same time. So it was a group of Mexicans located mainly in Puebla. So we were working together, and at the end of the day, they want to have the complete project. They don't want me to work with them as a U.S. citizen, but they didn't know anything about the U.S. The U.S. requirements. So even though they know the maybe the Mexican, but it was a maquilador as well. So the requirements in Mexico has to be covered as well as the U.S. And they were working in only in regular companies in Mexico, no maquiladoras. And and at the end of the day, they have like 5 or 6 years, and they don't have resolved the issues of the maquiladora. So I know because they have contacted me several times. Okay. In the case of emerging biosolutions defense, I mean, I was attacked here so badly. It was the situation with the Sparrow Hospital of Clinton, and it's where they put me the MK Ultra. Okay. Also, I work for Steel Lauder. Okay, in this company, basically, they contact me to solve some situations also in US and Mexico. I went there, and I find out that they have another Indian consultant working in parallel. And basically, this consultant was working with the consolidation of a Mexican company at the same time that they was working in Steel Lauder. So that initially is when I discovered that these guys they working in the consolidation that needs a part of the fiscal and accounting fraud. So they work remotely. So I think that mainly in India, but this guy he likes to travel. So he was in the States, he was in Mexico, and at the same time he was working in another company trying to do the same, because these Indians consultants they already know where the Illuminatis they have the business. Okay, for them. In the case of Telven was sold to Schneider Group, belongs to a Bengoa Group, and this group basically what they did was to implement SAP to bankrupt the Telven, okay, because they have a lot of bad businesses with Pemex, okay, so a lot of corruption there, and basically the SAP implementation was done to sell this company to avoid to have problems, okay, with corruptions. So all this situation in parallel, as I was working, I report this directly to the Department of Justice. I reported to the Department of Homeland Security. I reported also to the CISEN. to make sure that they could track and investigate all these companies. So I was like reporting all these situations to these authorities, but as a matter of fact, I don't know what why they are not doing anything at this time, because we're talking about 4 or 5 years or more of this kind of report that I have done to the U.S. and Mexican government, and they understand perfectly what they are doing, because as a matter of fact, this year, or at the end of the last year, the the um, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and also the Secretary of Secretaría de Hacienda in Mexico, they unite together to make changes in the import and export procedures. Okay, so so I have been pressed them to make those changes, but I mean, we have more than 25 years in with this situation of import, and some months ago they solved it, because I had been pushing too hard to legally to have these changes. Okay, but they didn't do anything against the companies or corporates that are violating this situation. Okay, the case of Infosys, I mean, I have been talking a lot of Infosys Technologies. Infosys Technologies basically was the responsible of harming like target individual. This company was opened by Calderon, okay, but of course, it's all these groups in Monterrey are related, including Carlos Salinas, or the Salinas as well. So they are using this company to basically with the purpose of bankrupt the last companies than the Mexican government has, like Pemex. Well, they already did it. They already bankrupt Pemex, and also IMSS and others. So they are using these ERP technologies to do these bankruptcies. But the situation with Infosys Technologies is that they have a lot of experience in the States, but they are violating immigration laws. For example, the Department of Homeland Security doesn't know where are the consultants, so they are not reporting where are they living in the States. And as a matter of fact, basically they are looking only the citizenship to continue working. Okay, some of them even working in the States even has a permanent resident. They want to travel to other countries to work in other projects. So according with the U.S. laws, it's not possible to travel to other countries when you are a permanent resident, because you are not showing that you really want a U.S. citizen. I have to follow the rules. I mean, I was in the States several years until I have the citizenship. Um, in the case of I work, for example, in a project with Siemens IT Solution. The complete team came from India. Okay, so it seems that many projects are closed in India for the US, but this group is coming, as I said before, there are freshers. So it's people that they don't have knowledge of the way that we have to do business in the States, so they don't know industrial engineering, as I said before, activity-based costing. So a lot of knowledge that we already have in the States was created for the US, and it was created by Americans. So it's not used anymore. They are using only the ERP, but the ERP, as I said before, has a secret knowledge, and this secret knowledge is not that advanced as the human science and technology that we have in the States. So it was difficult to work with them, because they spend more time doing the programming, when I spend less time doing the analysis. This is really impossible. I mean, when you are doing the analysis, it takes more time than doing the programming. Even I can do the programming, but I have to wait for part of the team to do it, and that's why I figure out that these guys are really freshers, and basically they don't know what they are doing. Okay. Um, I have the case of HP Germany in a project with different countries, well, in Mexico and other countries about a rollout. What I found now is that these companies are located, for example, in Germany, and I have the agreement with Germany, but I mean, what's going on? I mean, these companies cannot assure me to be paid in the States or in Mexico, okay? Because they're they are abroad, okay? So so I that's why I have the labor cases right now in Mexico, because they don't want to pay me, even than according with the Mexican law they have to pay me a certain amount, and they want me to pay less amount of money. So this SAP and Oracle business is really risky for contractors, even employees working for these companies, because they can break at any moment the agreement and they're not going to pay you. So there are a lot of consultants and they are not paid even then they have the agreement. Um, in the case of Hockey Beechcraft, this I work for IBM, okay, and basically this company has a maquiladora industry in Mexico. This company specifically was trying to have the Mexican entity has a US entity, so it was like what's going on, because that's impossible. I mean, even the storage location, I mean, the import and export, and basically the excuse was that they were not paying taxes. Okay, so we have a meeting with all the IBM team in finance, and nobody knows what to do. I mean, and we're talking about the heads of the SAP finance and controlling part. Okay, computer associates. Okay, this company was working mainly with the implementation in all Latin America, but using Brazil has a bridge. So basically, the consolidation was done in Brazil, and after this consolidation was sent to New York to make it in ECC 6, and the other was 4.7. Okay. Um, Basically, they have one woman, okay, that was working in Brazil, not even an American, but she was like an employee in the U.S. Corporate. So it was difficult to work with her because she was doing whatever the Indian said, not what I was saying about how to make the implementation for Latin America. And at the end of the day, I mean, basically she was following what the Indians were saying about the how to make the configuration, instead of hear me and take the best decision, okay, for computer resources. So it was like, come on. We have a company like alt working that's water service company in New York, okay. And basically, I was working here and I identify a lot of Indians, maybe more, I think, than illegal aliens, and they were hiring Americans, but at the same time, I can see them they were replaced, okay. Because they trying to say that they didn't know the systems or whatever, and basically they were replaced by Indians. Then I think that they have less skills, okay. But they I think that was the start of the we're talking about here 2007. It was the start of the Indian companies trying to have all the business, and basically the purpose is to hide the fiscal and accounting fraud that they are doing. Okay, so that's a reality. Bristol Firestone, Japanese company, then the manager or the director of Bristol defined to do an implementation in several Latin American countries, but in English, not Spanish. When we know that all the legal situation in those countries have to be done in Spanish because that's a legal requirement. So, but they say, we are in the US having the template, the SAP template, and we have to do it in English. So it's even the training. so, so can you imagine the situation? Well, my experience in Mexico in SAP, because I started really in SAP in Mexico, and there are some companies that basically I think that we're more advanced in doing accounting and fiscal fraud, because these guys start doing changes in the tables, okay, to make the accounting according with their needs, and they already know that Secretariat of Hacienda they didn't have any skillful people to get into SAP and make really a review. So in that way they can hide all the taxes and they were not paying, okay, and that's the situation. In Mexico, I mean there are these the consultant company. They already know that most of these companies are really, I mean, are coming from narco traffic money, okay, and there are a lot of companies than they say that there are formal businesses, and but they are supported by this laundry that is done that is done for I don't know if several years or even centuries. Okay, so um, well, I have experience even in Colombia working for a bank and also the education sectors, and I feel really good there. I mean, I didn't see any. I think that it was better conditions to work with, and I couldn't find any specifics related with this accounting and fiscal frauds. I don't see anything. In the case of Walmart, what I identified basically then they were implementing these new systems to make sure that yeah, then well I started working even with Cifra than it was before Walmart. Basically they have these consultant companies doing the implementation of ERP to be sold this corporate to Walmart. Okay. When I was in San Antonio, Texas, and I started having this problem with the San Antonio police, they called me from Walmart to be the SAP manager in Mexico City. But of course, I think that this guy they prepare everything to get rid of me and not to be in Mexico City as the main head of the SAP processes there, because they were scared that I could find something cheeky. But as a matter of fact, I already know about all this child trafficking and all this accounting fraud that they are doing. So I mean, that's a really bad company. I mean, at this time, because you know about all the GMOs, all the food that they are selling us to kilos. I mean, all these Chinese products. I mean, they have of all of our jobs, and they were sent to China. So this company is really a pain in the ass for even in Mexico or in the United States. I used to work also for the automotive industry action group, that is basically working directly for VW, GM, Nissan, and others, all the car industry. And I was a Y2K assessor with them, so I have the opportunity to see since about 1995 how the ERPs were developing, And at that time, I couldn't see any really advantage of having the SAP, Oracle, or other ERP systems. Nevertheless, it worked for the Y2K because everybody believed and they were working in 4 digits. So basically, was the purpose of the Y2K, and most of the companies that they have these ERPs, they complying with the requirement. But after, as you know, the 9/11, everything changed, and they start omitting some really important requirements in the business processes, and and we have done a lot of violations against the ISO rules as well. I think that that's I have more experience, okay, but I will say that mainly is mainly when what I want to explain is my criminal suit against SAP, Oracle, the partners, and some important clients of them. It is related because during my participation in different kind of projects, I have found that in fact they are doing the business and fiscal frauds, not only in the States, in several countries. I work mainly for corporates in the United States and Europe, and in some cases in Asia, and I have identified those fiscal and accounting frauds, and I have reported to authorities in Mexico and United States. They haven't done anything. I mean, even then I have the criminal suit already with the general attorney in Mexico, and then the U.S. embassy knows about that. The different authorities in the United States knows about that. So really, I have been blocked totally, and I'm expecting with Donald Trump to make the changes necessary, and basically because it's really important. I mean, to break this diabolic and satanic financial system that we have, that is using secret knowledge, Babylonic secret knowledge, that are not in the same level than the human science and technology that we have mainly in the States. I will say mainly in the States because of industrial engineering and other techniques that we used to have. So we are using something that is older, than it doesn't fit our culture and necessities. And at the end of the day, all the world is suffering this Babylonic secret knowledge and are using the ERP system nowadays, and nobody can identify it. And my purpose of doing all this series of videos is to explain to the regular people what is the situation. You don't have to be an expertise because you can see a simple view of what is happening, but you need someone like me in this case. Then I create the technology to explain you what is the real situation and confirm what you can see at simple view at corporates and in government. So since 9/11, basically we can see easily that these changes, these satanic changes and the diabolic changes are really damages in damage in our economy, in our families, and even in individually. Okay, because sometimes they affect even your credit scores and others. So it is important than I think that you have to report whatever situation you find out at government and corporates, okay, to the ISO committees that are certifying internationally, then companies can work worldwide. Because if you report it, what you're going to do is to close the market for these corporates, because they are not complying with our legal regulation. They are not complaining with the international regulation, and at the same time, at the end of the day, they are selling us products that cost more, and not even cost more. There are some products that they are killing us, like the food, with the GMOs, with the vaccines, with the intelligent televisions, intelligent mobile phones, etc. So it is important to clarify that the solution of all this mess can be done using correctly my technology, as I defined it initially, and it was taken run by SAP and Oracle, and after the partners, and there are also small companies of illegal or legal Indian aliens in the United States, creating a lot of companies that they want to work worldwide. They even have call centers in United States working from India. So they are taking completely our jobs in United States with call centers and using big data. So can you imagine? So we are competing with the foreigners, with illegal aliens in the States for our own jobs. Okay, so it is a exchange competition, and also illegal competition and unfair competition, because they are using big data. So they have all the data information of all the consultants in the United States. They know which are our skills, which kind of resume we are presenting, and after they try to do it a little bit better to fit with the requirements in the States. But in the States, they are not even right now reviewing your background. I mean, your studies, your career, and they only try to keep these consultants saying that they are charging less money, but that's not the truth. I mean, they are charging the same money than according with the U.S. market. So and according with the law, it is like that. So because of that, I have been presenting for years this labor situation that are a violation in labor laws that we have in US or even in Mexico. And I have reported to the authorities, to the Department of Labor and Secretaría de Trabajo in Mexico, also to the Department of State, to the Department of Homeland Security, and in Mexico, Secretaría de Gobernación, Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores. And these guys, they don't have any clue. So maybe because the technology is considered even at this time new technology, then many people doesn't understand, because there are no legal systems considering my technology. Okay, but we have more than 25 years. So what's happened? I mean, that's a change. I think the Jew Christian Illuminatis are really working in bankrupt the United States, how they did in Mexico. They are working in other countries at the same time. So it's, I will say it is necessary in the United States to have real citizens, okay, real Americans, taking these positions instead of these Jew Christian Illuminati. I mean, they are really harmful for all of us. We need a big change. So I think that you have to consider seriously to vote to Trump to make those changes, because we are attacked everywhere and we are attacked internally. That is the worst part, because they know us and they hide us all this information that I am telling you, because I have to go into. I mean, I can give you more detailed information, but that's not the purpose. I mean, I just want. What I want to do is just to show what I know right now at the high level without giving any more detail, because I don't want to harm someone in particular. But it's important that the people knows in United States that this is happening. because I mean I have children. I really need to live well in the States as all the citizens. I mean I want the well-being of everybody, and I don't want to continue this kind of problem that I used to live in Mexico. So I helping our communities to understand this situation and to work in trying to solve it. It's a really a big problem. Okay, and you know it. I don't have to, because as I said before, you right now you can see a simple beer, but you need someone like me to try to explain it to everybody, and confirm that in fact it's happening. Okay. Thank you very much for hearing me, and I hope that you like the program. You can contact me directly by my YouTube channel. Okay, and thank you very much. Bye.